Welcome to the sevens in the sun. I know we're still on winter time, or we're almost on spring, but the sevens in the sun is so close that I can already taste it. And I'm Francisco Isaac. You were with me last season to talk about with players and coaches and staff and whatever. Today we're going to start with one of the main faces of the Algarve Sevens 2024. It is Dallen Stanford, one of the main voices of the World Series. If you hear it now, you're going to recognize his voice. And Dallen, you're such an iconic voice in the world of sevens. You also do 15s, MLR, the Super Cup, and so on. But sevens is your favorite beach to go, right?
Yes, it is. Sevens, it is so much fun. You can see the colorful outfits I'm wearing right now. That's why I love, the follow the sun that you've have going for the Algarve Sevens. It is champagne rugby through and through, my friend.
Champagne Arabia. Dalla, I'm going to start with the last question I sent you is why does the sevens matter? Because we are in the era that it seems that only when guys like Dupont, when they come to play for the sevens, it matters. But it isn't that like that because we can see a lot of teams, a lot of countries banking big on the sevens. So can you explain why it matters?
Yeah, so sevens to me is one of the greatest and most entertaining sports there is, of any sports that I've watched. And the reason why is the games are very short, they're very bite-sized, they're quite easy to understand for new audiences as well. And the games are so thrilling because often the games will be decided in the last play of the game or going into golden point, sudden death overtime. And you really can't script that. So that's why I love sevens. The main reason as a player pathway and development tool is sevens gives you the skill sets you need to be successful in the game of rugby. So a lot of people we've seen over the years have come to sevens to improve their skill sets. The defending is very tough because you have a lot of space to defend. Attacking, you're able to get that freedom to run, to step, to kick, to score. So for that point of view, I think it's wonderful for people to play the game of sevens. Now, personally, I love sevens because any team can be competitive. And on the day, anybody can beat anybody. And you don't find that in 15-a-side rugby. You will never find that at the Rugby World Cup. Every now and again, there'll be one upset in 20 years. But for example, very recently, we commentated the LA Sevens and who are the double Olympic champions, who are one of the greatest sides there ever was in the game of sevens. It's their national sport. They lose to Spain in a knockout game. Spain ranked 12th out of 12 teams on the series. Stuff like that you really can't script. All four quarterfinals were upsets. And so that's why I think sevens is truly remarkable. Yes, it's in the Olympic Games, obviously, which is amazing. And you do have some big name stars like Antoine Dupont coming down as well. But sevens really is such a game where so many people can shine, so many countries can do well. And I think that's the true nature of sport. You want to have a level playing field. And it doesn't matter about your resources. If you have a good enough sevens team, you can compete with anybody in the world. And of course, I love the color, the vibrant, the atmosphere that come with sevens. You can be yourself. You can have a party. You can bring your family. It's a game for everyone.
It's a game for everyone. That's that's the right mindset. Dallin, tell us about a bit about yourself because we know the voice, but how did you come to sevens? How did you grow up to become such a legend in the game?
Francisco, you're too kind, my friend. It's probably because when you and I did meet in person for the first time, you and I played together. We played a bit of rugby in Paris against a couple other kids, and you were fantastic, my friend. So yes, so I grew up in Cape Town, South Africa. I was always obsessed as a young kid with rugby. I love the sport. I love the camaraderie. I love the game itself, but the people around it and the traveling that you got through sport. So I was very fortunate to go to a school that gave us a lot of opportunities. My parents were very supportive about the game, and 15s was fantastic, and that was the focus in South Africa. But I loved once a year we were playing the sevens tournament, and that was my favorite tournament because there was more space. You can score more tries. You can express yourself. It didn't matter if you threw a 50-50 pass and didn't go to hand. It was sevens. It was more loose. And eventually, after university, I came to the United States, to Los Angeles, to travel for about 6 months and actually play a bit of rugby for a local team. And what astounded me was here in America, they had 6 or 7 tournaments in the summer, all geared towards sevens. And we were going to fantastic destinations. I was going to San Diego for the first time, to Las Vegas, all over playing sevens. We had such a blast. So that's truly why I fell in love with sevens, was playing so much here in the US. And coincidentally, when I met my wife to be, we got married. The sevens coach for the USA called me and said, Dallen, I've seen you play in some of these national tournaments. I would like to invite you to come on to try out for the USA sevens team to play on the Sevens World Series. Now, it was an amazing call to get, but straight away I said to the coach, I said, well, listen, you can hear my accent. I'm South African, so I unfortunately can't go to the tryouts. And he said, no. He said, you never played for South Africa. You've been in the US living and playing for 3 years. So by the rules back then, you're eligible to play for the United States. You make the team. So my dream was opened right there, and I got a chance to make the team and travel the world for 3 years playing for the USA. Still friends back home, because this was, before, it was a cell phone usage, but I didn't keep in touch with all my old friends. But they would watch on the TV and they'd be like, hold on, Dallen Stanford, I know that name. It's a rare name. They're like, how the hell is he playing for the USA? So it was remarkable to play on the series, and my obsession with sevens continued. And then I got a chance to get into broadcasting and then commentate the Sevens World Series. So I've been involved with the series, for 20 years now in different forms and different capacities. And truly, it is a delight to go every time there's a tournament, because you never know what's going to happen. The game is so thrilling.
About that, you started for the USA. You are a broadcaster, commentator now, and for the first time, you're going to be one of the faces or one of the ambassadors for the Algarve Sevens. Why did you choose to work with Algarve Sevens? Why did you come to think that the Sevens in the Sun was a good opportunity to jump in?
Yeah, so Francisco, I was in the Rugby World Cup. I got a wonderful chance to commentate that I was there for about 35, 40 days. My wife came across for about a week, and we just loved being in Europe. And we were chatting on the beach, and I said to her, this would be amazing if we could come to some of the best sevens events around the world and be in Europe. And so it was so interesting. The next week, I get a message from the Algarve Sevens, which I've been following, by the way, for a while because of the iconic destination, Portugal. My wife's family is from Portugal, and also some of her family's from Italy. So it's always been on the radar. We've traveled to Lisbon, but I've never been to the Algarve. And the message came through, and I was like, is this real? I'm like, this will be unbelievable. And so we got talking, and so it was always on the top of my list. And the fact that they reached out, I couldn't be happier that we are connecting. And for the first time, I'll be commentating there. On the way, I'll be stopping over to England and commentating an event called the Egg Chaser Sevens in Surrey in England. But the Algarve, every time I mention Portugal and the Algarve Sevens, everyone lights up and they're like, oh my goodness, I heard that place is unbelievable. So I know it's where the kings and queens used to vacation. So I'm super excited to be a part of the event, help promote it. And we can't wait for the fun in the sun.
You said the kings and queens, but what are you looking forward to it? What kings and queens of the seventh pitch are you waiting to see? Tell us a bit your expectations for the sevens in the sun.
Yeah, so for the Seven in the Sun, firstly, iconic stadium. The stadium looks amazing. It is very close to the beachfront where all the players will be staying. I know they've got over 70 international sports teams coming there with over 2,000 athletes. So the sheer volume and the sheer number of people coming to play these sports, I think is wonderful. As a young person growing up, the greatest adventures I've ever had was traveling with my rugby team. We got a chance to travel to Italy on a rugby tour. That was life-changing. I got to see different cultures and meet new people, make new friends. And that was the start of my rugby journey. I think it was about 12 when I went on that tour. And I've been traveling ever since. So the fact that these teams get to come to the Algarve and play is amazing. So not just rugby, there'll be netball, there'll be field hockey and golf as well. So I love this whole festival. And so that's, I think, what is really something amazing, is that all these participants are going to make lifelong memories and that sort of stuff. For me personally, I'm excited to explore somewhere new in the world as well, to connect with the locals, to try the food, have the drinks, to be in the beach and that sort of thing. So from a whole standpoint, it is the festival atmosphere. And that's why Follow the Sun. I just love that moniker because it really is truly what it's all about, right? In life, everybody has to work and has to have a job and do that sort of stuff. But there are moments where you can take a break from that and just enjoy yourself and let loose. So June 7 to 9, we'll be letting loose.
Oh, that's big. Perfect promotion. All sports that are big in the US, field hockey, netball, and so it isn't anymore just a sevens party; is a sports party. So, what advice could you give? And this question was not in the ones that I give you, but what advice will you give to participants that will have a big concert for 2 days straight, and well, they have to play also? So, what would be your advice for them?
Yeah, the best advice I think is to live life to the fullest, right? And so they get the opportunity to do that in a wonderful destination. And I would probably say be open to meeting people from other countries because you never know. Look, you and I connected. We're completely different parts of the world, but we struck a friendship through the sport of rugby, and then we see each other in Paris. Now we're going to see each other in the Algarve. So I think that's the most important thing: is to outside of your own team, who you connect with and have great memories and times with, is to meet people from all walks of life, and you never know the opportunities that come your way. So I would always say yes to any opportunity. And of course, I mean, there's going to be amazing action. There's going to be a great beach party there as well to start off the tournament. So I think everybody that's going to go is going to have a sensational time.
Sensational. Dallen, going back to my first question about the sevens. In Portugal, it was big for a time. You played against them
Yeah.
for those 3 seasons because they were big at the time. So now they are trying for the Challenge Series. It's not going well, but look, can you explain to the people at home why seven? You are explaining half of it, but why sevens could be like pivotal for countries that don't have that aren't that big as a rugby country.
Yeah, so seven. So I remember playing against Portugal. You're right, quite often in the series in the early days. Pedro Leal was my opposite scrum half. He's a wonderful ambassador for the game in Portugal. I think what's amazing about sevens, as you said, the point is that countries like Portugal, any countries that might not have a lot of resources to put into rugby sevens for the men and the women, can be competitive on a global stage. And then all of a sudden, that grows the game where people look up and they see heroes. They see these unbelievable women carving it up and men, and they're like, I want to be like that and pick up the game. Because let's be fair, rugby and other sports provide opportunities for you to positively impact the world. You get to do wonderful things when you're on tour. You get to make a difference, and you really get to live your life to the fullest. So with all those elements, getting more people playing sports, getting them active, getting them into a community, I think are the most important things. We know that at a national level, Portugal, for example, could make the Olympic Games, could get a medal. And for other sports, it's very difficult to get there, particularly in 15. So I think for those reasons, sevens to grow the game, it's a wonderful part of it. And Portugal, I'd love to see them back on the series. If they're able to qualify again, that'll be so great for the sport. And if Algarve sevens is a spark to grow the game as well, that's why we're supporting this tournament.
Supporting this tournament. Dallen, you were in France. We met there. We played a bit of sevens, like you explained. Sevens no touch because there was no tackling involved as much as we all wanted, but no tackling involved. But we're going to have teams from there, and normally it's Champagne Rugby. So you've been following France as a commentator for the last few years. So do you think the French are coming to win the Algarve Sevens like they did for some past editions, or you think you might have some surprises from, well, I cannot say, but big teams from Asia are coming, also teams from the Americas. So do you think is the French to lose, or you think there's going to be surprise this year?
Yeah, so French rugby's on an all-time high. I love that. The last time on the Sevens World Series, France won an event was in Paris in 2005. So that is amazing to fact that they won this year. Antoine Dupont obviously helping the side as well, but their core group of players were brilliant. I think what's amazing about sevens is I know these days I don't give predictions too many times because they turn out wrong, right? And then people are like, oh, I thought this guy knows his rugby. That's the thing about sevens. The quarterfinals, as I said in Los Angeles, the 4 quarterfinals in the men, I picked 4 winners and all 4 were wrong. And so for the Algarve sevens, all I'm going to say is we expect there to be some big upsets, and they'll likely happen in the quarters, semis, and finals, which is great. You kind of want that action where, let's be fair, my job is to add color to a sevens event or 15s event. And the great thing about that is the athletes and the teams give us that energy and excitement. I just calling what I see because it's so amazing and so fantastic. It's never predictable. And I think that's the best part about it. So who's going to be your winner? Who knows, my friend? It is, like we said, it is going to be electric.
Dallen, tell us what is the trick to have a successful sidestep in sevens. Can you show us
Oh,
the secrets behind it?
I would say the best step, and you pulled a couple of good steps when we were playing in Paris, is really to put all your body weight and jump to one side, and enough that the defender follows you, and then you bounce back as far as you can to the opposite side. That worked for me, but of course there are so many other steps that work really well. The Fijians are very good at sometimes a goose step, made famous by David Campisi back in the day, where the defender slows down and stops and then they accelerate. So there are various steps that work really well. But for me, it is the big jump step to one side and hopefully wrong footing the defender going through. And we may put on a clinic when we're there. You and I will have to get into the crowd and see what we can do.
Now, that's a very good idea. What was the best side step or step you saw in the sevens in your life?
Look. So when I played for the USA, I would have to cover back to sweeper, so the last defender really. And luckily, there not many footages exist and clips, but I was stepped a lot of times. And it's hard. It's the hardest position to be in. And so as a commentator, we don't really commentate on the person getting stepped, more about the stepper doing really well. But yeah, I played against Wasali Serevi when he was playing for Fiji, and also had another brilliant player called William Ryder in the team.
Yeah.
And so those two just bamboozled us. But to put it lightly, I really was just covering to make sure they didn't score underneath the poles to make the kick easier. But they would score. I just ushered them to the corner. There were many times players put on a goose step. And what is amazing, you play back in those days, young players came through, like Israel Dag. He would go on and play for New Zealand in the fullback position. James O'Connor, great player. So all these young players came through sevens. We would play against them and be like, wow, that player is really good. They scored a few good tries against us. And then years later, you see them representing their national 15s team and being, one of the best players the country's produced. So you never know who's going to come through the sevens field.
Another thing from the sevens that I think it's important is have someone in the team that is a prowler, that follows the
Yes.
steppers so closely. What was the best defender in sevens that you have seen in your life?
The best defender, there's a lot of good defenders over the years. Vanderkok from South Africa, he had the hair flying everywhere. I mean, he could run really hard, but defensively, he was fantastic. So was Quacker Smith from South Africa. Those are two hard grafters that would get involved in everything, as you said, doing the dirty work. They weren't the players who would be scoring all the match-winning tries, but without them getting the ball, you wouldn't see it. And I think, for the USA, Danny Barrett would be one of those players where he could tackle anybody, obviously, but when he got the ball, he actually would look for a player to run over. And I asked him about this one time. One time he broke through the line, there was a sweeper coming back, which is the position I used to play, and he could easily have scored, but he turned his body and went for the sweeper to run them over. And he just said, I just love the contact. I just want to run people over. So it's that mentality that makes those players the best in the world.
Oh, that's such amazing stories. We hope that you can tell some of your stories in Algarve, as we have a lot of secrets and surprises for everyone that's going there or at home, because it's going to be broadcast. How would you define sevens in 3 words, if you could?
3 words. I would say champagne, electric, and sensational.
Sensational. Okay. And we know that you're going to be one of the lead comms in the Algarve Sevens. So can you tell us how did you get on the vibe to follow a play, and then when it's a try you go big? Can you explain how do you build up that for the sevens?
Yeah, so firstly, I would say a lot of people, they hear commentators and they think they just arrive at the stadium and just start talking about the game. I think the most important thing is to do your preparation. So what I'll do is I'll reach out, to all the teams and get all the information about the players, hobbies, backgrounds, fun stories. And that really helps the color in the commentary of when somebody scores, because I think you want to have fun, right? The game's fun on the field, and you want to reflect that in the commentary booth. So I also will prepare a couple of humorous one-liners and some things like that. So I have them at the ready, so I can flick them out when a big try is scored. But I think the most important part is to be at an average level of excitement, and then once somebody makes a break, then you kind of go with them and to kind of G up the excitement as well. And with sevens, it's very easy because there's lots of breaks, lots of excitement. And so you're right, as a commentator, you need to have that energy and things like that. So I will be ready to go and ready to rumble. One-liners ready, my friend. We can't wait.
Just to finish things off, 2 last questions. What was the best try that you've commed in your life?
Oh, that's a big question. I will say this Rugby World Cup in France, we've got a chance to do France play against Namibia, and Dupont at scrum half kicked 2 beautiful kicks for the corner. There were some great tries there scored, which I certainly enjoyed. If I think about it, to call South Africa is always an honor. So some really nice tries scored by the South Africans. But I can't think of one try. I suppose is you know what's interesting? You call a lot of different events, and you don't really think about them too many times, unless you see on social media like, oh, I remember that now, and you go back in time. So it kind of goes like that. But I will say to call, like the Sevens World Cup, Seven Series, Rugby World Cup, those events are so iconic and so special. And so to be able to be asked to do those and add your voice and color to the excitement, which is unmatched, those are all dream comes true. So definitely highlights. In fact, in my office here, I've got a framed jerseys from the different events that I've got a chance to work on and commentate as well. So those are special times.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that I think it was you, Nicolas Martins, try.
Oh yes, no,
Yes, yeah,
okay. So that one was very
yeah,
special as well. Absolutely.
that
See,
was
you threw me on
incredible.
you
I
threw me
still
on the
have it.
spot. I have to trace back to all the games, But yeah, so that was, and you're right. So that's the great and amazing thing is, for every country there are some massive moments in the game. So it is hard to single out like one event. So every time you do a new country playing somebody, there is a special moment in that game for that player, for that family, and what it means for the country as well. But to commentate Portugal, very special.
Dallen, what was your first broadcasting tournament in the World Series? You remember first leg? You remember what was?
Yes, I do. It was 2016 Las Vegas, and it was the USA Seven. So, and what is interesting is in commentary there are two roles. There's the play-by-play lead commentator, and then there's the analyst, the color, who generally is a former international player. So I started out as the color analyst position for a few tournaments, and then luckily they said, "Well, Dallen, would you be interested in doing play-by-play?" And I said, "Hey, that's actually what I do. I don't do the analyst role." So that's kind of it lends itself to my personality and much easier for me to work. So yeah, so back in 2016, and it's been amazing. I think I've been to over now 50 tournaments. That includes playing and being a media manager in the years gone by, and commentating as well. So I've got a chance to see a lot of different things around the world.
To cap things off, how would you invite guests to come to the Algarve Sevens and watch the Sevens in the Sun?
Yeah, so I think, as we said, their teams are filled up, which is amazing. But if people want to come and watch and support and just be there and enjoy the sun, there is no place better than Portugal during the summer. And what a great tour! Bring your family, bring your friends. It's going to be memories for a lifetime as well. I'll be obviously pumping this on the socials to get people out. But I know, even when we were in France, people would look at those photos and stories and be like, "Jeepers, I should have pulled the trigger. I should have gone to watch and support and have a good time." So now's your chance. People can get their tickets and come and watch and listen. We could have that goose step competition too. So if people fancy a goose step, you and I can be practicing and filming a few clips for them.
Okay, so there's going to be some surprises. Might be a contest for the best step in the competition by the public, because it will be fun to see people do side step with a pair of jeans. Well, if
Yes,
they can do it
exactly.
in a pair of jeans, they are like I saw you in Paris, which was amazing, that step you did. And we will see together. We'll be together there between the 7th and the 10th of June in Vila Real Santo António. So it's a good option for holidays. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Big concert, big nightlife, big day life, beach games, and the funnest sevens tournament of the year for me. That is not in the World Series, so you just have to come. Dallen, you can say goodbye, and we'll finish things.
Thank you very much for having me on. Algarve7s.com. People can get the details there. We'll see them there with a couple of cold drinks in the sun. Can't wait. It's going to be champagne rugby, my friend.
Oh, champagne rabbit it is. Thank you, and see you for the next episode of the Sevens in the Sun.